Much for tuning in to our session today. For anyone who's not been to a session before, we usually just wait a couple of minutes as people join, and the session goes fully live on LinkedIn. So if you just want to grab yourself a drink or get comfortable, that's fine. We'll get started very soon. We're really, really excited for this session today. It's the second part of our OSINT Proven webinar series with our guest speaker, Larry Cameron. We'll come on to some intros shortly, but it's a session that's really going to run through some exciting, but also some disturbing and some powerful ideas. So I just got so yeah, I think we can now see it come through on the page. So that's great. So yeah, we'll be getting started in a couple of minutes. This is going to be a really, really interesting session today. Hopefully you'll leave with some ideas of OSINT techniques that you can take away. There'll be some things that you probably want to ask us as we go through. And Larry's got also a presentation of a case that he's been involved in for a long time that looks into a lot of different OSINT techniques, cyber investigations, crypto, and so on. So yeah, we'll start with some introductions. Before I jump into that, I just want to provide some form of a trigger warning today. We will be discussing, real cases that have gone through systems, but it's, there might be some topics that people find disturbing. So yeah, just to give you that as a trigger warning if you aren't expecting any of that. But I'll jump on to introductions. So I'm Toby Langston. I work at Altair, support our Canadian US portfolio of customers and new customers. But this webinar series is really focusing on bringing together an investigative community, specifically around the OSINT world, but also cyber, fraud, and lots of other things as well. Thanks for jumping in on the chat, James, Bernadette. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming back. Dave, I'll hand over to you for introductions, and then Larry will come to yourself.
Cheers, Toby. Hello there, it's Dave Sampson again from Altair. I'm a consultant of Altair and work particularly in the open source. I thought I knew a little bit about open source, but Larry puts me to shame. And I'll pass you over to Larry for his little introduction.
Hey everyone, I'm Larry Cameron. I'm a Chief Cyber Officer with Paradigm Intelligence. I'm an investigator for many different NGOs. Here's my email. You can also add me to LinkedIn. And again, I'm at the 30,000 cap, so I'll have to delete people before I add you. And if you want to reach out to me on Signal, there is my Signal. I created a platform here for the presentation. If you want to take a picture of this, I'll give you a moment. It's a state.quantusintel.group /kkpark.html. Now, Qantas is Latin for quantum. It's not the airline, just so you know. If you can paste that in the chat as well, I'd appreciate that.
I think that's just gone through now.
I am also Chief Cyber Officer for the Baracus Group. So the Baracus Group, they do a lot of boots on the ground. We work with nothing but veterans, active or retired military, special ops. We do anything from executive protection to high-risk exfiltrations, and even more torn countries. I'm also Chief Cyber Officer for the Anti-Trafficking Bureau. We do a lot of rescues for human trafficking and child exploitation. That's antitraffickingbureau.org if you want to take a look. I'm also head of cyber for the Canadian Open Source Intelligence Center. We do a lot of certifications, training in open source intelligence. If you're in Canada or even any other country, then we can do training there as well, in person or online. As a trainer down at Fort Liberty, I'm very honored. It's actually Fort Bragg now. Goes back and forth every once in a while. But I did mainly cyber investigations, digital forensics, open source intelligence, and dark web intelligence, training all the Special Forces members. I was a trainer for all 5,400 agency involved in the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Forces, These guys are my heroes, so I was very privileged to be able to do this. I created 3 courses out of the 5 in order to train all their new and existing employees over 2 years through an OJJDP grant, which is the Office of Justice Juvenile something delinquency program. I was a trainer for Interpol on the Wika 2 operation. There was nearly 700 human trafficking victims rescued there. So I like to teach people to do stuff at scale because we're not going to arrest our way out of this issue. Now we're going to go over quite a bit of stuff regarding open source intelligence. It's the collection and analysis of data gathered from publicly available sources to generate actionable intelligence. So the scope is internet, different public records, media, company filings, social media, and dark web. And there's different types of intelligence: OSINT, SOCINT, which is social media; human intelligence, that's boots on the ground; signals intelligence, geospatial intelligence; and image intelligence. Lots of different intelligence. So here's a breakdown of them: the SOCMINT, social media; human intelligence, human sources, covert, very costly; signals intelligence, it's communication intercepts; geointelligence, so geospatial, satellite imagery; and obviously the image and video intelligence.
Larry?
So what is pig butchering? We're going to go through some of these examples. I had to find out by just Googling pig butchering. There's a lot of resources about these scams. Initially, this came to me in a case, just about one person. They were trying to get out of this, but I blew it open, and apparently it was much bigger than I originally thought. So here's an example of a pig butchering scam. So John is the victim of human trafficking. He is forced by criminals to contact people on dating apps to scam them. So John uses the dating app to connect to a person. Now, he might connect to a person, or a person might connect to him. So the guy appears to be very successful, being wealthy. She has money to invest. She shows screenshots of how much profit she has at this time. Trish continues to talk to John and develop romantic interests, ask him to invest. Eventually, Trish is ready to cash out. She thinks her cryptocurrency investment has made her a lot of money. John tells her she just needs to send a little more. And this is where the scam usually gets you. They say you need to, pay 30% for your taxes. If anybody ever asks you to pay taxes that you invested, it's a scam, because this is what you're responsible for, and the government is responsible for collecting, not third-party companies. No cryptocurrency exchange will ever ask you to do this. So you keep on sending money, and then there's fees, and then there's this and that, and sometimes it's up to 40% of your $1 million, so it's like $1.4 million. So they keep on scamming you, and you're desperate to get your money, and that's why it's called pig butchering. They fatten you up by taking all your money, and then they disappear. So you have a typical pig butchering structure. You have the front office, back office. You have the face of the scam. You have the keyboarders. These are the people that are trafficked, and they are shared chat accounts. So you might be talking to multiple different people, and it might not be a girl. It could be a guy. So back office, they have the IT team, money laundering, crypto wallets, and the different web applications. They deploy the infrastructure and are involved in most of the criminal activity.
Larry, just a quick one. I got a question that's come in from Chandra. Hey, Chandra, thanks for joining. It's around, is there any particular platform where victims are getting targeted? Is it Meta, etc.? Is it Facebook?
There's a lot on Facebook, Meta, Instagram. Not too many reports on Snapchat. Some of them are just text, so they get these texts, and I'll go through that in a moment. But they're literally all over there's not a platform that's probably not used for this. I haven't seen some on LinkedIn.
Wow. Yeah, I was at a conference last week in Toronto, and I think it was around the 60% mark. They said was Meta. Obviously, Meta's
really bad.
Meta's really bad, a bad offender. I think also not to fight their corner, but they own a lot of those platforms as well. Thinking Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp. So maybe that number would be higher. But yeah, thanks for that question. Any other questions as well? Please add them in the chat, and we will keep bringing those in. Thanks, Larry. Sorry, hand back over to you.
All good. And this is kind of an example of what you're seeing. This is a click farm, but I thought I would do it just for the nostalgia of it. They have a lot of phones. Sometimes they have 10, 20, 30 phones in front of them. This is very common. One thing I've noticed, a lot of people have noticed probably on the presentation here, that somebody messages you, "Hey, Bob." And you're like, "My name's not Bob." And then they're like, "Oh, well, I am Jane," or whatever. And they'll continue to talk to you and try to gain your trust, and then talk about cryptocurrency investment and different things. This is how a lot of these happen. So it's a random cold text from investment scammers. There's also, it's an evolution of the romance scam in China. So a gentle trap with a heavy loss. You'll see a lot of them are very beautiful Asians that usually, they work at a hospital or something, or with children, etc. So they try to pull on those heartstrings. You'll see a lot. Again, here's some of the actual pictures. Do you invest? They'll ask you to go to WhatsApp. You probably see they run a hospital. They help poor kids. Recovery scammer. These are probably one of the worst people. After you are scammed, they will actually reach out to you and try to help you recover your funds, but they're actually scamming you as well. Now, how is this happening? I initially found out about this through Social GeoLens. It's from OSINT Proven. So what you do, you pick apart a place. It was KK Park in this instance, and then you run that query, and it's going to show you all of the, on the feed on the right here, you will see, against military coup. So this is what happened initially. The military in Myanmar, they took over the government. It's called a coup, C-O-U-P, because the government wanted to shut down these special economic zones, which were used for the scamming. And once I started going through this and seeing a lot of the information, I kind of put two and two together. The military owns 30% of the profits coming out of KK Park compound, and that's why the coup happened. So they slid from a repressive to a repugnant institution in public opinion. Nobody likes the Myanmar military. This is the Myanmar ethnic groups. Now, majority of Myanmar, the Burmese, 2/3 of the population. It's a very privileged position. Majority of government, it's military. Systemic discrimination. So I don't know the full Hiegers. It's a certain Muslim religion that is the main thing. They were trying to exterminate them. They were doing a lot of work with them, genocide. So here were some of the different camps, the refugee camps. They're all along the border. They were trying to escape Myanmar. What I was seeing on social media, all you have to do really is search Myanmar and casino. And this is 100% a job ad that you're going to get trafficked into. And a lot of it, it's too good to be true. That's the GGTBT. This is an actual ad that I found. It was fairly easy to find, but the indicators, again, casino Myanmar, cross-border, Thailand, Myanmar, hire male candidates only, 5-star hotel and casino. Any casino in Myanmar is not legitimate, and they will traffic you.
Is that posted on LinkedIn as well? That Larry looks like it is.
This one was Facebook.
Facebook. Okay, Facebook.
So I joined a whole bunch of groups for Myanmar, and there was hundreds of these posts. So all the different types. I mean, 3 meals, accommodation, paid leave. Here's another indicator. It's strange, but you always pay for your uniform in these type of scenarios. They always make you pay for it.
Yeah.
And then you get service money. This kind of wrapped. But here's another too good to be true.
It also is saying male. Sorry, Larry. It's saying male employees only. Is that common in these kind of things, or is that just?
Well, there's different ones. So usually they want you to do the more physical stuff. And this was around the beginning, so they probably got them to do labor as well as scamming.
Right.
Now, this is an example of the girls, the romance chatting, no work experience. Like, who's going to romance chat? It's obviously an exploitative position.
Yeah.
Monthly $15,000 increase. Overhead 10 uniforms, service money, which is tips, but freelance given priority. Why? Because they don't want organizations or recruiting to, kick up a stink when they're missing. And then it talks about different allowances and CB or Telegram, which is another social media. Now, here's where the women come in. A lot of the women, if they don't want to do the scamming, what they did is they trafficked them. There's a karaoke bar, and they were giving rewards to some of the people who would get like big texts from these victims. So definitely, if you see girls lined up like this, that's a trafficking situation. And again, this was an ad on Facebook. They were preventing people from going to Myanmar from the Philippine embassy. And then they started getting these fake job certificates. So that was one way where they were trying to get around it by having an employment certificate.
I don't want anyone to scan that QR code, but out of interest, where that led to.
Exactly. So who was actually doing it? We found out this is the guy that owns the KK Park, Mr. Shi. He identifies as they, them. That was kind of a joke that I did way back when. So gambling networks in Cambodia. He started in Cambodia, then through the international pressure moved to Myanmar, Philippines, Thailand, Laos, all over the place. So it's starting to spread out. This is a particular compound I was investigating, KK Park. Here's the business registration. Here's the people involved in KK Park. Here's the different ones. See Mr. Shi. And here's one of the guys in the colonel in the Myanmar Army, the Karen Border Guard. They own 30% of the profits. And who's running the compounds but the triads? So you got Mr. Shi, you got the Myanmar military, Karen Border Guard, and then you have the triads all working together.
I mean, when you showed us that picture of KK Park, it's so big, it's so large. So I think, even without knowing about a case like this, you think there must be some sort of massive organized element to it. So is this the people who are behind it predominantly, or is it multiple people? Yeah,
Mr. Shi is in the development, and it was a $15 billion compound. It's a little more than that, a few billion more over the years, but initially it was a targeted $15 billion compound.
Wow.
So if the triads are running the compounds, you don't really want to mess with them.
No.
Also, the China Black, or was it the initiative? Belt and Road Initiative. Okay, so the Belt and Road Initiative, they go in, they update the infrastructure, they get all your oil, they get all your gas, they get all your minerals, they help you out. They kind of strong arm you. China operation on all fronts here. And I looked into the Belt and Road Initiative, and it's been going on for well over a decade now, and it has spread further than Myanmar and all over the world almost, except for U.S. and Canada. But there's different ways they're infiltrating U.S. and Canada. So this is a pretty massive coverage for the Belt Road Initiative. I was able to find, now this is another really good link. Now I found this after I did my 3-week investigation, my initial one. There's a lot of branches here. Now, this is justiceformyanmar.org if you ever want to check it out. Now, what I was investigating and I was able to validate was from here, for the government of Cambodia to the Myanmar military. Here's the company, Karen State Border Guard, and the Yatai International Holding Company. So these are the people that are benefiting from this compound. Now, you'll even see the Chinese government is in this. So if the Chinese government's working with the triads and the Myanmar military to, do billions of dollars worth of cybercrime, I mean, that's a global issue.
I think that's one of the points that's so shocking, isn't it? Is that the scale of it, the size of this operation, is nearly impossible to operate if there wasn't some sort of collusion or understanding or knowledge of that area. The KK is huge, right?
Yeah, you'll see publicly that China condemns the Chinese population from using the casinos, but yet they're supporting it for other people and the trafficking. So it's kind of like, on one side you see a specific side, but then the data shows something else. And we'll go through the geospatial intelligence now. We went through some of the OSINT.
Just before you do that, Larry.
What was that?
I'm just curious, when you're doing this, how do you protect yourself? How do you,
Nobody knows where I am right now.
But there's clearly so much money involved. There's so many people making so much money that they don't really want you spoiling that, getting in the way. So I'm not just you individually, but how, when it's so embedded in a country like this, how do you actually get in there and do anything to prevent it?
We had a lot of boots on the ground there. We had people on the inside too. We were collecting information, IP addresses, cryptocurrency addresses. I mean, it was a really rough intel gathering. But see, with cyber, you can do a lot of stuff remotely. I mean, I was even mapping out the fiber optics. I was mapping out the cell towers. You gotta map out everything and figure out ways to disrupt. I mean, as for protection, I don't have too much protection except for, just what's it called? The word OPSEC, operational security.
Yeah, the standard operational security to keep you, and yeah. It's great. It's showing you from this that the level of data you can get, and I've cheated. I've jumped ahead in your slides. The geospatial stuff that you're going to talk about is really, it's that level of detail that's fascinating.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of other people investigating, so I rely on other people's stuff to give me leads in order to do data point exploitation. Yeah. Right here, I mean, you'll see a lot of the new developments, new cell towers, the ramp crossings, the official border crossings. But we want to do an analysis of that, and we'll go deep dive right now. This line across the river.
Sorry, Larry. Just I don't want to interrupt your flow too much, but there has been a question as well asked about by Than. Than, thanks for your question. I don't know if we'll come to this later, so I don't want to jump ahead if so, but asking around if we can speak to the evacuation and also the bombing of KK Park. Are you going to cover that at all, or do you know much?
No, I'm not up to date on that one.
Okay, no problem.
But I mean, it could be involved in some of the other groups I've been working with.
Yeah,
I mean, this is so vast and there's so many moving parts. We were working with some people. It was called the Resistance. So likely it was them that did it. I can't really confirm anything because I didn't get any updates onto that. And I've been, I have to work on other cases. So I've been working on this case for about 5 years or 6. And I've put probably well over 50,000 of my own money and plus my time into this investigation.
Yeah.
So it's been a tough road, but at least people are getting justice, right?
That's it. Yeah. I think, there's so much more to run through, but this is a really, really great part as well, learning about the space of it. So sorry, you jump back in.
Yeah. And here you'll see the actual border crossing, this little line. Now, if you look at the data, these dots are one device. So I've been tracking the devices, doing some behavioral analysis. So this you'll see someone's on this side of the border, they're on this side of the border. Thailand on the top, Myanmar at the bottom. And here's KK Park. And then here's the karaoke. This is where the girls are trafficked. And you'll see another device. I mean, they're on this side. This one looks more like a guard that's walking around. And then you see them on the other, which buildings they go into. Here's another instance. So, Thailand, Myanmar. Thailand, they're right here, and then they're all over the buildings here, Myanmar. And again, Thailand, Myanmar. Thailand, Myanmar. So it's just when you're doing an analysis, and this was another thing that I seen, that the Thai police cut internet cables used by Cambodian scammers. So they brought 10,000 internet lines from Thailand, a state-owned facility. So the government of Thailand owned this, and they brought all the lines from Thailand to Cambodia to support the scam operations. This gave me a great idea in order to find out ways to detect it. And I basically geofenced the entire Myanmar border looking for these. Here's another one. They cut illegal cables running into Laos from Thailand. So again, they're doing it not only Cambodia, they're doing it in Laos. And using IP intelligence and location intelligence data, you're able to kind of figure out by multiple different levels how they're doing this or where it's happening. So here you have, you can even see Cloudflare, OVH, Amazon, all these different ISPs, International Gateway. There's like 20 of these. So if you continue through this, what I did, I geofenced the entire border on Myanmar or Thailand on this particular instance. And you're able to see a lot of different dots, a lot of different colors. Each one's a different device. So you can see this one, it's the same color. That's one device going up the road. But they're going up and down the road quite a bit. Country data. So IP addresses are usually assigned to the country. Thailand, we had 172,000 hits. Myanmar, 26,000. Now, most of the geofence was in Myanmar, so this was kind of a red flag here. So I filter it by Myanmar. Where are the Myanmar connections? So the Myanmar connections are all in Myanmar, right? None of them cross into Thailand. But if you do the Thailand, you'll see tons of different connections in Myanmar from Thailand. So this is where you can actually discover these illegal border cables being run. So I did the entire border. It was like thousands and thousands of miles in order to figure out the other ones. But this is how you discover that. I mean, you'll see these heat maps. You'll see all the different devices. These are all mobile phones. So you can see the roads they take. And again, use the country filter. This one I was targeting a certain internet service provider. So I did a deeper analysis on this specific provider. So Thailand, Campana, Taro Co. Limited, these 4 IP addresses, actually 3 IP addresses, and one's more of a generic .0. So I continue on. I see all these devices. There's Android, there's iOS. Here's the reverse lookup for the DNS. Here's the ASN. Here's the country code, the version of the device, and the IP address. So you're able to see a lot based on this data. Then I wanted to check their connectivity. So they had one IPv4 here and one IPv6. But if you continue to look at it, here's the path. Here's the one that I was talking about. Then they connect to another, could be a router. And this is normally BGP, Border Gateway Protocol, where it splits off into 2 different internet connections. It could be like, T-Mobile, could be AT&T, right? So you don't want to cut off just one of these because it can still fail over to here and route the traffic. So you want to actually shut down this one so that both connections are gone. So you'd have to cut them off here or here or here. You can also set up the lawful interception where you want to capture the traffic, so to speak. This one, I was able to find out which ones were using VPN because I have their GPS coordinates and I have their IP address. Their IP address resolves to a VPN provider, a public one or a private one. You're able to see a lot more. So, Amazon, M247, ZenLayer, Linode. These are all IP or VPNs. Okay, and here, and then you do lookups on these IP addresses with IP intelligence. Oh, look, most of them are in the United States supporting VPN infrastructure for scam compounds in Myanmar. So you can easily do a bulk subpoena warrant, production order, court order, and get these shut down. So you kind of want to monitor for VPN traffic going to cloud providers and then target the cloud providers because you want to disrupt them. You don't want to just let them continue, hiding their traffic.
Do you find that they were cooperative when you tried to do that, or is it some are, some aren't?
They have to be. I mean, if it's U.S. law enforcement doing it and a U.S. company, right, they're going to comply or they're going to get fines. They're going to get sanctioned. There's going to be criminal arrests.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that can happen when you piss off the U.S. government.
Yeah. And when it's outside the US, was it the same? Do you find that people like these organizations, these areas are often cooperative, or can it be a struggle when going outside of the own country?
It all depends. You see, again, nobody wants to tick off the US.
Yeah.
They can sanction you. I find that they're almost just as cooperative. There are some where you have these people that think that they're untouchable, that support criminal activity. It could be weapons trafficking, drug trafficking, child abuse material. Those type of ones, again, they can target their internet infrastructure, get that shut down, target their hardware providers, etc. So, United Kingdom, cooperative. United States, cooperative. Thailand was a little more difficult. Sure. It all depends.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah. So, Thailand helped right here. They cut power to the Myanmar border towns notorious casinos, but they kept operating. So that's a problem when you have, redundant internet, you have redundant power. You need all those to run, but I mean, having a backup generator, and then they'll just get power from somewhere else. It's ridiculous. So Myanmar junta ally vows to crack down on this. So if you read some of this, cutting electricity, internet, and fuel even won't scare them much. So even fuel for the generators, you sanction them, all the population, there was such a shortage of fuel that they had to buy everything out. And this is just the regular people that aren't scamming.
On one of our attendees has shared an article as well, and it said something similar. It says, around the destroying of the buildings, like even if you destroy the buildings, you haven't arrested the heads of the actual syndicates, you haven't got into that level. So I think it's a similar kind of angle with that. There's so much you can do, but there's always more that can be done. And it goes back to your answer earlier, Larry, of it being that long road. But the work that you are showing is brilliant here.
And I actually just talked to Than last night.
Okay. So. There you go. Well, good stuff. I think before
I asked him to join the webinar.
Oh, good stuff. Well, he has joined. So yeah, he's put some great questions in so far. So thanks for joining in for those. And yeah, Larry, I think before we started the webinar today, you were showing me a sort of sneak preview, and this slide in particular, I think is really, really powerful, really interesting. So yeah, I'm excited to hear you go through it.
So yeah, it was quite frustrating after we were targeting the internet service providers, getting them shut down, and then they were just working. And there was an article, I think it was the last one, that mentioned Starlink. So if they're using Starlink, you can't jam them. Okay, so there's a lot of different problems with that. Like, remember the Ukraine-Russia scenario where they enacted the military-grade ones, which prevent jamming. So you only see about 30 dishes here. Now, I did some work for SpaceX Starlink. I did a threat assessment and some other things. And when I reached out to my contact and I was telling them you can get sanctioned, reputational damage, 5 months later, they shut down 2,500 dishes, and only 30 were recovered. So that it's such a smoke show where the people who are profiting from this sees 30 dishes out of 2,500. I mean, this picture right here is the biggest joke I've ever seen in my life.
That's crazy.
So, what now? What can we do? No matter what you do, you can't shut them down. And I mean, the bombing and evacuation was a good idea, because that's what you have to do. Fight fire with fire. So, I mean, they're getting really high tech. 200,000 people. It's more near 220,000, but those numbers might be higher. People that were trafficked. And I'm talking, the videos I've seen were so traumatic. People were getting beat with bats. They were getting with these cattle prods. You could hear them screaming. I had to turn the volume off when I was going through like 100 of these videos. Some I was able to debunk and say, well, this is somewhere in China, this certain camp, blah, blah, blah. Reverse lookups are great. So, but over 200,000 people, that's a massive amount of people being trafficked from 60 countries. So they busted an international ring selling fake accounts. So what you need for these, you need fake accounts. You need SIM cards. 590,000 SIM cards seized from Thailand, and 150,000 from Hong Kong. That's a lot of SIM cards. So in order to create an account, you need to do the two-factor or whatever. You get an OTP, you put in the code, you create an account. This was enabling a lot of scamming. And that's a lot of SIM cards. I don't even know how they actually counted them, but it's a lot. They have one of those money counters for SIM cards. Keep on going.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that job. That's like if you were being punished, you'd have to count them later, won't you?
Yeah. DOJ file. DOJ, they seized 225 million. That's nothing. But the good thing is they would people who are being scammed out of their life savings. So people are going to get their money back. So thank God, DOJ. Thank you for all your hard work. Here's another one. Hundreds of thousands of websites down through sanction. They funnel technology. That's, I mean, you got hundreds of thousands of SIM cards, hundreds of thousands of websites. And the funny part is, once one person gets scammed, they can shut down that site and just not care and move on to another. That's how, organized they are. So they don't want scam reports to go on the internet about a domain and then other people notice. So they move on to another domain. I mean, that's insane right there. It's a good idea, but. So here's the CNAME relationships. So you got a sample A, sample B. There was some overlap in it, and they were able to track everything to one IP address. You have multiple domains, so you do reverse lookups on an IP, and you can see how many domains are on that. Apparently hundreds of thousands. So executive orders, 13694 and 14144 for supporting cyber activities that threaten U.S. national security and economic stability. So these executive orders probably are a big help for taking these guys down. So violating these sanctions can lead to civil or criminal penalties. So you can get thrown in jail for supporting these companies, so to speak. This one, I held workshops with ACFCS, Association of Certified Financial Crime Specialists. They did a great job. I can say that some of this had to do with them and their hard work. And I mean, these people work at banks that are certified with them. But $15 billion seized, that's a big hit to them. And this, it's going to be more expensive to operate than it is to actually scam. So if you make it more expensive, then that'll deter people from doing it. Now we'll go into a little blockchain intelligence. I did see a wallet. It was an Ethereum wallet. One of the things that I found in these wallets, there was different apps. Ace Pro. You can get money, basically you deposit money, it gets sent to the scammers, and you're never able to withdraw. Now, this gets a little worse. Some of these, like BitScan, they're command and control. So they basically put a backdoor into your phone, and they're able to command and control. They're able to get all your passwords. They're able to see what you're talking about. They're able to basically do whatever they want. Now, here's the main wallet that I was looking at. Now, if you look down here near the token holdings, I wanted to see kind of what the exposure was. So I wanted to investigate each one of these. So there was 14, I think, tokens here. Now, if you see ERC token, that's usually because they got flagged. Now here I did a little chart. I was going through them one by one. Phishing, malware, it was up. Phishing, this one, Bitcratic, decentralized exchange. So you're seeing how they're laundering the decentralized exchanges. You don't need to do KYC, so they don't know who you are. So you're swapping one for another. Again, this one, Credit DeFi, it's another decentralized exchange. AK Swap. We'll go through these. Here's what, if you go to one of the tokens, and this is Etherscan. So the token is reported to have been used for misleading people into believing it was sent direct. He's treated with these alerts from these providers will not get scammed. Here's another one I seen on, I think it was Reddit, but the AK Swap. they'll send you tokens, and if you try to send them, I think they do like a massive amount of gas, and then they fish your money out. Some other ones, you go to a site, akswap.io, see deceptive site ahead. So MetaMask, if you use MetaMask to control your Ethereum. So Ethereum can have a lot of tokens inside of it. Here's Bitcratic. So Bitcratic, again, that's the decentralized exchange. This one here, Launch DApp. So DApp is a decentralized app. So if they're decentralized, and again, you don't need to do KYC. They don't know who you are. I mean, 27 billion here. That's total volume. And that's just volume. That's how much is going through it. Credit DeFi. You can get it on the App Store, Google Play. And we'll go through a little of the network forensics. We got about 15 minutes left, so we have enough time. And threat intelligence. This, if there's any, are there any cyber people on the chat?
Yeah, speak now. Yeah,
if you have experience with cyber or blockchain forensics or open source intelligence, so geospatial, financial intelligence, just put what you do in the chat. Can anybody tell me what this is? So you look, you got the source data, you got the destination, and you got the reverse lookup, and you got the port. Now 80 is unencrypted, 443 isn't encrypted. But if you look at the reverse lookup on the domain, Kaspersky, this is their antivirus. So when you're doing packet captures, when you're looking at the data that's on the wire, you're able to determine what service they're using. Now this one, EASEUS, E-A-S-E-U-S. Now, I knew that right away because I know it's a backup software. And then if you look further down, it's bucloud.net, so backup cloud. So they're doing backups from the computers to the servers. Now they do this just in case the computer gets fried. They don't want to lose anything. But, you know, if they need to restore a computer, makes it easy. I'm not sure all the services this backup provider provides, but those are potentials. What's this? Hunan Gojja. So it's a social app. So now we know how they're chatting. So social app under Hunan Gojja Network Information Co. Domestic entertainment, social platform. So we know how they're communicating, how they're trying to find victims, or how they're doing, you know, scammer to scammer chats. Project Go Viral. If you're running a scam, you obviously want it to go viral. So I was able to do a lookup on this and find exactly what it is. And I checked out the site and everything. Do they know that they're being used to scam people? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. But you could easily get them shut down with subpoena warrant production order from anyone coming from the specific network ranges that we've found. So that's when you want to target the services that they use. Project management. So they're turning scamming into a project management. So it's a project. So you need to do these tasks. You need to gain their trust. You need to do this and that. So we're able to see that they're using this. And I mean, this could be the back office. It could be the front office. Make good data-driven choices. Regain iOS visibility. So you want visibility in your iOS devices. You want to scale your campaigns. Kickstart app growth. So, you know, not only malware, but they have analytics into their scamming. Vonage. So we know what phones they're using, what SIM cards. So then you could target Vonage. It doesn't matter. But this is how you can tell the services that a company uses. Doesn't matter what it is, phone, project management, video editing, advertising. BusyCow. most powerful calendar for macOS and iOS. Busy Contacts. So here's another service that they used. Maybe we want to get this shut down too. So then they don't know what they're doing at when. Curated marketplace of small shops, big on style. So the girls in the karaoke, they need clothes to look pretty, for the people that are going to rape them. What was that? Jane.com. A lot of multiple different 2 IP addresses that are going and buying stuff from this site. Oh no. So this is redundant, and these multiple different IP addresses. So a lot of people are closed. Yes, that's correct. They do a lot more prep work. They're a lot more organized. Most criminals are about 10 years ahead of law enforcement, and they care more about their illicit profits. This one was welcome to the simplest way to send big files. So this could be many different things. We could shut down, and we could also get the files that they were trying to send. That's another option. I mean, whenever you see stuff like this, you want to target it. You want to put it in a list. This one, all these different apps, video editing, sound editing, I was able to get with this. apowersoft.cn. So it's a China one. Now we have about 9 more minutes. We're going to go quickly into the financial intelligence. Does anybody have any questions?
I think at the moment, yeah, we've kind of kept on top of them. But I think the point that was just raised in the chat is probably the biggest one that shocked me when I was hearing about these pig butchering scams in the beginning. Is I think you can be quite innocuous at first when you get a message that comes through on WhatsApp, or you get random person message you on Instagram, or you see some crazy job interview on Facebook group, and you kind of think, oh yes, it's a scammer, but you're so far removed at first, then you might want to ignore the message, or you might want to delete it, or you might want to I'll play along and just waste their time. But actually, there's a huge human trafficking element to this, and you mentioned the karaoke bars, you mentioned these rewards that the good scammers get a little bit of a time to do, and there's a whole other element of of the trafficking, the sexual trafficking, and all those tertiary and other layers of criminality that comes in. I think kind of feel stupid when you're like, I don't know why I've not put this together, but when you show us what you've done and how you've actually looked into it and how you build up such a huge piece of it, and it's the scale that blows me away. 500,000 SIM cards. You see the pictures of all those phones. This is a huge operation, and like Chandra said in the chat, it is shocking how they're operating better than so many businesses out there. They've got this incredible streamlined process. It's really sickening, I guess.
Yeah, tracing a chat back to this it's kind of overwhelming. It took me about 3 weeks to get this much data, working on it day and night, and it only came in from a case. There was one case, and when somebody's trying to tell you about it, they never knew the scale of what I seen, but they knew it was happening, and they didn't know why. So I had to fill in all those blanks from this one lady that submitted an email to me. I ignored that email, but I get curious. I'm very nosy. I want to see what's up.
I can see that. I can see
the whole
that.
thing behind OSINT. If you're nosy, you're gonna find what you're looking for. Now we'll go through some financial intelligence quickly. These are different scenarios, so different entities, financial crime type, sanctions, evasion. Now there's quite a few of these red flags, different outcomes that we can talk about. We'll just go through these quick, but the different OSINT techniques used for these different scenarios: trade data, satellite imagery, corporate filings, this is what you're looking for to uncover the crimes. So the aviation fuel supply. This is crypto laundry, human trafficking, KK Park, 14K triads, crypto laundering, trafficking scams. We use blockchain tracing, social media, different satellite imagery, tether flows, scam ads, Starlink use. Based on different entities or different things, you can use different tools. And I just put a bunch of these together. Telecom surveillance, infrastructure mapping, who is whistleblower reports, red flags, military ownership, SIM registration, surveillance, documented telecom complicity. Now, when you have documented telecom complicity, you can sanction them, you can get them shut down, you can target them. Frig, sometimes they'll get assassinated. You never know. Depends what you're dealing with. Here's another one. Corporate records, sanctions list, trade data, Shun Energy. And you'll probably have to read some of these fast. I don't know how many we have. I think there's about 10 of them. Scam City Development, Yatai. I mentioned Yatai before, where it's owned by some of the Chinese government, but triads are running those compounds. So technically, the triads and the Chinese government are working together. You know, sometimes that's hard to prove, but right here, it's in the business registrations. I mean, it's not a conspiracy theory. POSCO, sanctions. What is this? Environmental social governments or economic social governance, ESG, different OSINT techniques, financial filing, satellite imagery. And we have a lot of tools. Corporate disclosures, NGO reports. Corporate disclosures, you can check the documentation that they're required to file. Sometimes you can find it. Sometimes they just put up a shell company. They don't file it and they shut down. You'll find that a lot. But you can find out through the officers. Different things. Trade finance for sanctioned entities. CB Bank. Different banking records, NGO reports, trade data. Everybody in every industry needs to work together in order to find these specific criminal activity. Mitel, Viettel, MEC, Telecom, profits to the military. So these people are actually paying the military. Profits go to them. And we have some general OSINT tools. If we have enough time, I can go through these, just a few slides.
Yeah, we can go through them real quick, I think, and then sort of look to wrap up. That's good, Larry. I think people want to see the tools. So yeah, let's run through those, and yeah, we can look to round things off.
Cool. These are some good OSINT tools for everybody. If you want to check them out, security trails, EPOS, have I been pwned? So EPOS, you can find out some of the accounts that they have. Security trails, you find out the historic DNS. So, you know, you can find out, oh, they registered at GoDaddy, then they moved it to this other provider, then they use this other provider, but it goes through the different A records for the hosting, MX records for the email, and tons of other name servers. So Cloudflare, for instance, Google dorking, and StartMe. Security trails, you enter the domain, you review the records, investigate and document all the details. EPOS, you visit the site, pick a email, phone number, username, enter the target information, then you analyze the results. These are very simple, but the best thing about them is that they're free. Have I been pwned? This is breach data. Sites have been hacked, like Hotmail, LinkedIn, etc. There's thousands of these sites. But if you enter in the email address, you're able to find out, you know, if they appeared in any data breaches, kind of how long the account's been open, etc. I use this a lot, this and EPOS a lot for subpoena targeting. And one that's much better than EPOS is OSINT Industries. I met the OSINT Industries team up in Serbia, and I have to say that it is one of the greatest OSINT software. that can integrate into any other application. So I'll tell you, if you guys don't use them, integrate them. A lot of value.
It's funny you say that, Larry. We do. So yeah,
Okay.
they're one of our
Cool.
top right at the moment. If anyone wants to trial it out, actually, we have a free pilot as well. So these are amazing, Larry. Thanks for sharing these, because I'm after this, I'm going to go on How I've Been. I've already got it loaded up, and I'm going to see how many of my emails have been leaked. But yeah, if anyone wants to trial out our platform as well, top right QR code will take you to that.
And I use some different applications, the paid ones, than Have I Been Pwned. But I've worked on many cases where I was able to pivot on the password. I could see the password, and I could uncover different accounts that they had. Same email, like different email addresses based on the same password. It has to be a unique password. Sometimes you'll get overlap with like passwords that are very common, but some are pretty obvious because they have the same name. Google dorking. I did create a site. If anybody wants to get this, reach out to me on Signal. I created a Google dorking site kind of platform, similar to the KK Park one at the beginning. And if you want to post that in there, it's state.quantusintel.group/kkpark.html. Start me. I recommend this. There's a lot of very good OSINT ones out there, but look for OSINT Inception and Start Me on Google, and you're able to see collections of other Start Me's, which have tons of resources. It's amazing. OSINT Inception. This is an example. If you want to search Start Me, you can get AML and Compliance Toolkit, risk dashboards. There's literally thousands of different resources for everyone. And if anybody liked the KK Park one, remove the KK Park at the end of this URL, state.quantusintel.group, and I have a launch pad for some of the nation states, and I have some ratings for some lower ones. So it'll cover Russia, China, Iran, and DPRK for North Korea. There's also a GoFundMe on these pages. Again, I put a lot of my money. I use my business profits in order to fund all this stuff. So feel free to do a donation. I would really appreciate it. If you want a platform of your own, just reach out to me and do a donation, and I'll do one up for you. It doesn't take that long, and it can be on any, literally thousands of these platforms.
Larry, thanks so much. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating investigation. And I think the bit for me that really stands out is, like you say, it came from one email, an email that you could have ignored, could have been left, and you followed it, and you followed that trail so incredibly well. And all of these amazing tools, yeah, some of them might not be useful on every case that you deal with, but it's knowing where to get access to them. So many great free tools out there, so many tools that you've made out there, so many tools that companies like us and many others offer out there that can help bring you to this sort of case and the case end that you managed to get there, which is really great. Some amazing interaction as well. Thank you for everyone who has joined, but also to those of you who've jumped in on the chat. It really is great when we get that interaction. I think there's a lot of follow-ups that'll be coming your way, Larry, of people with 1,000 more questions, myself included as well. Final little bit, yeah, make sure you've got Larry's email, my email, or I'm on LinkedIn if you have any questions. And yeah, we've really enjoyed this one, Larry. We will obviously have you back at some point if you're willing to come back. But our next webinar will be on the 29th of April, where we'll have a brand new guest, and we'll be announcing that very soon on our LinkedIn page. So yeah, make sure you're following the Altia US and Canada page. Dave, as always, thank you. Larry, been a pleasure.
Cheers, Larry.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank
We'll see you
me
next
again.
time.
I'd like to come back.
Anytime.